So let's look at some email questions. Jesse in Chicago asks, I really like what you guys are doing, but I wonder if you could help me out. I'm starting to get into recording at home now, and I need to get a microphone, but I don't know what kind to get. What do you suggest? We realize there are many of you out there that are trying to make a home recording studio on a shoestring budget. We can show you what we use here. We've made some pretty good choices and things that probably won't break the bank. Let's start with you, Michael. What microphone do you use?
Now, for those of you that are paying attention, you may have noticed the microphone that I am using now is not the same one that I was using on our first episode. The one I used on our first episode is a Samson CO1U, which is a USB condenser microphone. Now, that microphone is great for podcasting, but if you're using an ACO sound card setup, you're going to find a lot of compatibility issues. So I traded mine in for a CO1 large diaphragm condenser microphone. A USB microphone does not need phantom power, however, this one does, which means you will need a device that supplies phantom power. Now, I just bought a Yamaha MG102C mixing board that does a great job. I also bought a Shure PG58 vocal microphone. Now, let me explain to you the difference between the two. When I record with my large diaphragm microphone, it does a great job, but it picks up a lot of ambient noises, which is not good for if you're recording in a noisy environment. That's where my Shure PG58 comes in handy. Both Samson mics are under $100 as well as the Shure microphone. Oh, and there's one more thing I want to explain to you. You've got a 1/4 inch connector and you have an XLR connector, but there's a secret that a lot of people don't know about with XLR connectors, and I'll explain to you what this is. Now, this is the XLR connector. Now, let me show you what the secret is. Now that's the secret of an XLR connector. Now, Dwight, you have a couple of Shure microphones, don't you?
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I have a couple of Shure SM58s that I can use. They're a great general purpose microphone, good for if I want to record a vocal or a mic a guitar, or mic an amp or that sort of thing. But I generally use this Apex 430 large diaphragm mic here. It does a really good job for an inexpensive microphone. I bought mine brand new with the shock mount for $150.
Oh yeah, and if you do pick up a Samson microphone, it does not include the shock mount. That's an extra charge of about $20 to $30. And it's not really necessary, but it looks so cool.
Okay, let's get on to our next question.
I just installed Sonar 6 on my laptop, and I'm an absolute novice at using MIDI and computer recording software. I'm fairly computer literate, and I play guitar, drums, and sing, but apparently Sonar is my Achilles heel. I can't do some of the simplest things like highlight a section of music and edit it, for example.
Okay, Jim, well, we're happy to help folks like you through these mini tutorials. Let me demonstrate here some of the first things that you'll need to know. First, let's record a bit of audio. I don't want a metronome during recording, so I'll turn it off here. I'll arm a track and test my mic. You can see on the meters there's a good level there. I'll hit R on my keyboard to start the recording. Using Sonar 7 here to do a little test. And we'll play that back. Using Sonar 7 here to do a little test. Now I can move that wherever I want it, or I can split the clip using the S key on my keyboard for split. And now I'll move a piece of that. You can see it's jumping one bar at a time, and I can't move it in small increments. That's because the snap to grid is set for 1 bar or 1 measure. Here you can adjust the snap to grid properties. If I set this to half, I can move my piece half a bar at a time. And if I set it to 1/4, I can set it a 1/4 bar at a time, and so on. Here you can turn the snap to grid on or off, and if I turn it off, then I can move the part freehand. Now let me show you something else. I'm going to split this audio clip in a couple of places to isolate this small piece. I'll move this over here and play it for you so you can hear the effect. here to do a little test. If I want to delete a piece, I can simply highlight it by clicking it, then press Delete on my keyboard. I'll get rid of these other two pieces too, and I'll slide this piece around a little bit. What I'm showing you here is called non-destructive editing. What you're seeing, believe it or not, is not the actual clip. The clip is safe on my computer. This is just a representation of it. So strangely enough, I really haven't deleted anything, and I can get my whole file back by dragging out any small piece of it. Like this. Using Sonar 7 here to do a little test. I can also select a piece of my audio by dragging in the timeline up above here. Make sure the track or tracks you want to copy are also highlighted. When a piece is highlighted, you can drag it wherever you like. You can even put pieces on different tracks. Using to do a test. I made a bit of a mess of that. I use Control Z a lot for undo. I'll hit it repeatedly to take us back to where we started. Then I'll hit Control C on my keyboard for copy. The copy dialog box comes up and will copy these events. Then by hitting Control V on my keyboard for paste, the paste dialog box comes up where I can set the repetitions. I'll set this for 4. That'll give us 5 pieces in total. Using Sonar 7 here to do a little test. Using Sonar 7 here to do a little test. Using Sonar 7. I can also grab a bunch of clips this way by the lasso method. Then hold down Control on my keyboard to copy those. Using Sonar 7 here Sonar 7. Now let's get creative here. We'll pan this track all the way to the left, and we'll pan this one all the way to the right. Using Sonar 7 here Sonar 7 here to do a little test. Using Sonar 7 here Sonar 7 here to do a little test. Alrighty then. Now let's have a quick look at MIDI. I'll insert a software synthesizer, the TTS-1, into our synth rack. And then I'll go to a MIDI track and set the output to be played on the TTS-1. And for a sound, I'll take piano. When I highlight that track and play my keys, I hear the piano sound. So I'll arm the track, and with the metronome on, I'll hit record. And I'll play that back. And let me explain that MIDI is different than recording audio. Recording MIDI doesn't record the sound at all. It simply stores the information and keeps track of what notes I hit, when I hit them, how hard I hit them, how long I held them, what time I let them off, and all those details. Therefore, after MIDI has been recorded, you can still change the sound it's played back on, or speed it up or slow it down, and you can use quantize to straighten up your performance if you strayed a bit from the beat. I usually view these MIDI events in the piano roll, but you can also see an event list, or the staff view. Here you are provided with the necessary tools to work in the staff view. And you can do all your editing from here if you're more comfortable.